Shame follows us even at night, and embarrassment takes from us all opportunities, and that is why knowing this made me have the courage to begin a new life and also earn good money. We talk about how embarrassment stops us in life and why we should fight it. I bet you can't imagine even Godfather had shame in the movie and still we didn't recognize. You will be going to be as good as him or Donald Trump maybe, but first you should be introduced to the things we'll explore today. The wind moves without purpose, without direction. Or maybe it carries whispers of thoughts too quiet for the world to hear. I've always wondered, are we just drifting, searching for meaning in the void, or do we create it ourselves? This is Windy Words of Parsa, a quiet space for those who think too much, feel too deeply, and find beauty in the unanswered. Here, we wander through poetry, philosophy, and fleeting moments not to find truth, but to embrace the questions themselves. So stay a while, let's lose ourselves, and maybe in the wind, we'll find something worth holding on to. Or maybe we'll just let it go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Windy Words of Parsa. Do you remember sometimes that you were ashamed or embarrassed by something you did? Maybe your outfit, or maybe simply sometimes because of who you were at that period of time. So sometimes we simply feel embarrassed because we do something that we think that it's not good or it doesn't sound good, or maybe when you see less of yourself by doing something. And that embarrassment just gets to our minds and begins to make us humiliated and feel humiliated. However, the truth is we don't get to rehearse life. We only live it once. Kundera wrote, "We can never know what to want because living only one life, we can neither compare it with our previous lives nor perfect it in our lives to come." So, seriously, there is no point to get too much ashamed. However, we feel that everyone is, paying attention to what wrong we did, and we are going to destroy our selves, our beings, by doing some small wrong thing. So let's begin with me describing some situations for you from myself. So maybe you can just simply better understand what I mean, or, maybe you can just connect to my experience yourself. So some days ago, I went to an interview for a job, and um, that was something funny. The job was about content creation and managing their social media platforms, social media accounts for them. So I had to get the job because I, of course, need the money, and that can be a good background for me. I already work for another, company for creating the content and managing their social media. But this time it was different. The job was not so normal, and the person who was interviewing me was not so, easy taking. So they told me that they need me actually to film the products for them, which, if you don't know, has so much more difficulties, and it's maybe a little bit tough because it needs great lighting and a good camera, and I had none, and I wasn't able to work with them because we didn't have practical experiences while we were learning, even though it is related to my major that I study. And it was so hard for me to tell them that I can't, and to be honest, thought that I can at the moment that I was there. And let's just cut the long story short. And I don't want to, actually hurt you with listening to my, diaries and memories and this stuff. But um, that day just passed, and I went there the other day for actually starting to making the films. I brought my, light boxes, which aren't really professional and they're homemade. And I didn't have a good camera. I just used my cell phone, as now that I'm using my cell phone too for filming. So, I don't want to go into any details, but, he was making faces like, he was like thinking that what is he gonna do with these things? So I was actually embarrassed. And even, um, I wasn't really knowing what I'm doing right now at the moment at that time. So, that embarrassment was not something simple and little. So I told him that I'll take these, products. Those were tile products, tiles and ceramics. So I told him that I will take this home, and there I have better options and I can, manage it more professionally. He said, "What about this problem? What about that problem that we're having right now?" He was respectful, but I told him that this is going to be all right. I can do that on editing. I can solve this problem like this. I can solve that problem like that. And, things went and went. And I controlled my embarrassment. But what's the fact? That day I came home and I was so stressed. I didn't know what I am going to do with these things. And, it was a tough situation for me. Um, that day I wanted to call him and say that I can't do it. But also I could have said that I will reduce the amount of money that I asked for, and then maybe he would have liked to work with me, even though I'm not so professional. But I didn't do that, and I'm getting so much better money right now because I found a way to solve all those problems, and created a way for myself. And right now, I am creating good experiences for me, and also um, I am actually creating a good job background for myself by working there, and also I'm getting good money. So um, the thing that I'm trying to mention is that dealing with embarrassment is crucial in our lives because everybody shows us that things are good, let's say in social media or in movies, and things are gonna always get good and this stuff. So we don't really think that this is not the utopia that they are showing us. And when we feel embarrassed, we just assume that it is us that have made that mistake, and this is only us that are weak. Just another brief story. It's gonna be 30 seconds, I promise. So don't go anywhere. I remember that once I was trying to actually connect with a girl on the street, and I was laughing, and at one moment, a kind of a sound that came out of my mouth because of the low amount of air my body could actually get at that time. It couldn't inhale good, and a weird sound came out, and that actually made me feel like I need to just stop talking and say thank you for your time, goodbye. But I actually made fun about it. I made fun about myself at that time. With doing that, she was laughing and I was laughing, and that tragedy turned into a beautiful situation. This is why we need to deal with it. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. So why actually tiny embarrassments hurt so deeply? Well, first of all, there's a well-known theory that is the spotlight effect, I guess. If it actually had the effect word, I'm not sure, but it's about the thing that when we do something wrong or something not beautiful, we think that the spotlight's on us. And I know it's hard for you to listen to hear it actually, but I have to say the light is not on you. And No matter if you do something good or if you do something bad, nobody's gonna care that much. That you create the feeling in your head and believe that they are gonna always remember it, and your reputation had, I don't know. What do you say in English about this? I don't know. This your reputation. Your reputation equals awful. No, this is not correct. It's hard to hear, but nobody cares. And it's a state of mind. Our mind just tends to replay it so it can kill us with the idea that we are screwed. So there's something problem. In the interview, I actually fought my embarrassment and I won. And the result was amazing. If I hadn't fought my embarrassment, I seemed weak, I seemed no confident, I seemed useless, and a lot of other things that we usually think when we do something that we're not powerful in and are gonna happen, but it actually happened because I fought with my embarrassment about being not powerful and not enough. So I won that. In the situation of the girl that I was trying to connect with and getting the number off, this happened too. If I hadn't fought my embarrassment, she would have just left and I would have just left, and the night would have been sad for me. And what's the cause? What's the reason? Why should we do it actually? Why? This is air. People, air people. Shame makes us afraid to be seen, especially when we're imperfect. So let's see what is the psychology of shame. As I told you earlier in this podcast, we're not actually describing things so professionally. And these are kind of unique ideas of myself that I have personally, and also some researches that I've made on a single particular topic in each episode, and I share with you. The specialty of our content is the thing that it's not professional and, it's made up, kind of, and we're just passing the time, but not very uselessly. In the book Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, it is explained that shame needs three things to survive: secrecy, silence, and judgment. So if you don't judge yourself, it's okay. So if you don't try to hide it, it's alright. Don't try to fight with it. It always maintains in your life. And no matter how tiny the situation was, it's gonna still be with you if you cannot learn how to deal with it. While nobody cares about our worst moments, shame always lies to us. You're not good enough, you should hide, and you don't belong. So let's actually describe it a little bit from the perspective of philosophy. There's a book, Healing the Shame, I guess by John Bradshaw. No, actually, I don't guess. It was John Bradshaw. And in the book, he describes shame, in a very great way. I really suggest you go and read it. Though I haven't read it completely, but this is great. Trust me. In the book, he writes that in order to escape shame, we try to create false personalities for ourselves. In this book, this is a character called Timmy. Timmy was a little boy, and he was really artistic. He was too sensitive when he watched movies or listened to sad music. He started to cry, and he was really sensitive and always created art. Was not like the other boys at his age. Their mother and their family usually told him that you are not good, you're not like a man, you're not like a boy. So they just humiliated him and made him feel that he shouldn't be what he was. He could have actually grow up and become a great artist, and he could have made a great artist, but they were ruining his life and his, emotions. It went on, and the little Timmy tried to become what they wanted him to be. He tried to be not caring. He didn't and tried to make art, and he was trying to change himself, and he changed. He totally made himself the one they liked, and that way he could fit in with others at his age, like boys and you know, his own family. So it had a good feeling for him. But more than the good feelings, he felt sad. He lost himself. With the mask he was wearing, he was not happy, deeply down, and he wasn't knowing why. And, because it was a little boy, of course, he couldn't have found out that this is because of this theory that was happening to him. But at the end, he actually, I guess, in the book, turned back to who he was, and again started to be sensitive and creating art and this stuff. But in the book, it showed really that he wasn't feeling enough, even though he had created the false personality for himself. So it was just negativities actually wearing that mask and becoming who others want. There is something else actually. Nietzsche, in the book Joyous Science, mentions that shame is bad because it makes you become what other people want you to be. Because shame stops you from being your own self. He says shameful minds think about shoulds and shouldn'ts in the society, in their personal lives, and everywhere. And they do it until they lose who they actually really are. You see, as we born, um, we don't think about shoulds and shouldn'ts. We do what we feel like doing. We are creative, we are happy, and we are hopeful. But as we try to learn shoulds and shouldn'ts, and as the society, beginning with our family, tell us what we should do, what we shouldn't do, all that, pure personalities go, and we become who others want. And Nietzsche really hates shame because of this. Miniver Chivi, child of scorn, grew lean while he assailed the seasons. He wept that he was ever born, and he had reasons. Miniver loved the days of old, when swords were bright and steeds were prancing. The vision of a warrior bold would set him dancing. Miniver cursed the commonplace, and eyed the khaki suit with loathing. He missed the medieval grace of iron clothing. To be honest with each other, embarrassment also brings us some goods. It's not always negativities. Embarrassment can, if we want to, make us tolerant and more comfortable with making mistakes. Making mistakes are the things that should and must happen before we grow. It happens to everyone, no matter what you see from other people, no matter what you think of other people. Embarrassments, fallings, and this stuff always happen, and they must happen, because if the word lost didn't exist, the word win didn't exist too. So it makes us more tolerant, because let's say if you actually improve your life and become a CEO of a company, then what you're gonna do with a little mistake you make there, if you cannot deal with your mistakes right now, that you're a more normal person. That was just an example, of course. It also kills perfectionism. We all know why. I don't describe it again. That's weird, because all of our episodes lately, since I began this podcast, all our episodes are about perfectionism. I don't know why. I lost track of what I'm trying to tell, and, because I really hate it. The fact is that I really hate it. It also reminds us that we're humans and we are lovable because of that. In the Friends TV show, I guess most of you have watched, there's a scene that they all went to watch a performance by Joey in the beginnings of the TV show, I guess, I don't know, the primer seasons. And And the Joey's show was not so good. He had a beard and stuff, if you know that. In that show, that was in the show. And Chandler tried to actually pick up a girl who had a curly hair. And, he thought that she's too good for him and he didn't want to go for it. But his friends actually told him to go and, give it a try. And he went there and he made a mistake. He got nervous and he didn't know what to say, but he made her laugh. She actually liked him because she thought that he was cute. And, they went out together and he could have his shot, at least. So please let yourselves have your shots and have your opportunities in your life because, let's be honest, think about the future when you get bigger and hopefully you are a better person with more power. And what's going to happen if that day you make a mistake, which is totally normal, but if your mind just replays it in your head and makes it bigger in your head, what can happen to you? Think about that moment. There's actually another theory that is good, I guess, which says that confidence comes from being embarrassed and surviving it. And I was trying to reflect on it while I was trying to come up with the whole ideas for this episode. And I thought that it was really correct. So if you really take a look at different situations and experiences, all of the confident people who are actually even confident about one single thing, in that particular thing, they of course have had a lot of embarrassments. And I assume there's no exception for this. You can see it everywhere and with every person. There's also another solve to this problem. I was watching a TED Talk about embarrassment. And there was a woman talking about, I am sad that I cannot remember her name right now, but she was saying that there's a way to, deal with this embarrassment that happens to us. And it simply is that we can say it is what it is. And this sentence can really save us. I guess sometimes it is what it is. You cannot change past and you cannot change that one single moment that you don't like. So you'd better get yourself up and try to use it for the good. So what's one small moment that makes you cringe? And if you are okay with, I would be thankful if you just comment it and say that what did it or could it actually teach you? Do you think that all of the theories that I just said can be a little bit true? And please just try to be honest, and I am waiting for your comments. It would be really helpful to all of us, me and the other readers. We can all reflect on it and, it's kind of fun and improving, I guess. We all carry little echoes of shame, but those echoes don't define us. Maybe shame is not a flaw, but a crack where the light can get through us from, and from that crack, light can find us. There's a song by Leonard Cohen, who I really love and adore and appreciate, called Anthem. In the song, Leonard Cohen says that there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's all about it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. The frame fades, but the feeling stays. Goodbye. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lines. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise.